So today we are doing our first ever deck breakdown. And we're going into a deck that I really like a lot from the new set, Attack on Titans, our green Marleyan Warrior deck. Now this deck is very sneaky. A lot of people tend to look past it, but there's so much power in this deck that it could just come out of nowhere and just wipe the field. But other than that, I will be giving you the cards that I put in the deck, what was the thought process behind the cards, and what are some tech options that you can sub out or remove to your liking. So without further ado, let's get into it. Our first card will be our 0 drops, and we have our Reiner. So this is just a typical 0 drop at the hand trigger, and it's really good for your 7 drop Reiner, so we run this at a 4 of. Our second 1 drop is Annie Lionheart. This one has when played, draw 1, then place 1 from your hand into your sideline. It also has a draw trigger. This goes good as well with your 5 drop Red Annie. So we also run this at a 4 of. Now for our third 0 drop, we run the Pure Titan, because this one is also searchable for our 1 drop Annie. Not that we're going to need it to be played at any point, but mainly for its active trigger, because a lot of the other zeros only have draw triggers, and this deck has a lot of draw triggers. So these are one of the few cards that have an active trigger, and we run this at a 3 of. And then for one of the MVPs of the deck is just 1 drop Birth Hole. So this card is really good because it also has that color trigger. So you play something 2 or less, which is, its sequence is great in this deck. But not only that, when it's on your front line, it generates 1 energy. And this card is very slept on when you have all your big bodies on board, because it's just a 1500, so people tend to look past it, and it just sits there and generates you that 1 energy that you need. So we run this at a 4 of. Our second 1 drop is our Annie Lionheart. So this is the one when played. You search a Marleyan Warrior or a Pure Titan, add it to hand, and trash 1. This one is really good for your 5 drop Annie, because that 5 drop Annie has when sideline, return it to your hand, and this one could be a constant search every next turn. So I run this as a 3 because this deck has a lot of bricks and we don't need this many 1 drops. So yeah. Our next is our 2 drop, which is also another Annie, which is your typical when active, generate 1 energy. This is a good raid target if you really need to raid her, but mainly she's here to produce energy to bring out your bigger bodies. Our next one is our Birth Hole. This one is if you have 6 or more energy, you draw a card. It also has an active trigger, which is really good, and generates 2 energy. We run this at a 4 of, nothing less. And then our next 3 drop is our Reiner. This one, if you have 6 or more energy, it becomes a 4K, which is really good. Once you get rolling, you can start moving it up, and then it becomes a 4K, 3 energy swing. So a tech option here that I'm not really too sold on is the Armor Titan. So this card, I haven't got to use it yet, but if you have 8 or more energy, you could choose a 4K on the field and sideline it when you play it. And on your opponent's turn, it's like your big Reiner a little bit. You have to pay extra AP to get rid of it. So I thought it was a good tech option. Not only that, it has an active trigger, but if you want to get it out, I wouldn't complain. This would be the first thing I remove from the deck. All right, next we have our Reiner, 5 drop 3 energy. So this one's really good because once you get this on your back line, you're pretty much set for life, right? It makes you draw 2 and then trash 1, and also has an add to hand trigger. And then other than that, we have our standard AP restand, and we have our standard special triggers. So this one is ridiculous. This special is ridiculous. So if Reiner is on the field, what this one does is it makes you draw 7 and reveal two cards, 2 green character cards, add it to hand, and then you may play 2 green cards with 4 energy requirement and 1 AP from your hand onto your field as active or raid, but it has to be 4 or more. So yeah, this one's a little tricky to get used to, but once you pop it off and once it comes out, it's just insane. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one. And then now we're gonna get into our raids. So right here we have our first raid, which is our Annie. So this one's really good because it reduces the cost of your Marleyan Warrior raids from hand by 1 for each copy. So if you have 2 on the field, that means your Reiner is a 5-drop, which is insane, right? Also, not only is that, when played, she gets to play out a 3 energy or less. So that's pretty much half of your deck, if not 80%. 3 energy or less, yeah, that's pretty much like 80% of your deck. She plays it out when played. And then when she's sidelined, you return the base card back to your hand. Which is why she works really well with the 1-drop Annie, or the 0-drop when play, draw 1, trash 1. Now, this is the main target of the deck, and rightfully so. This Reiner is a 7-drop 5k. It has impact 1. It also nullifies impact. And then during your opponent's turn, they have to pay an extra AP to target it with events or triggers. Not triggers, events or character abilities, which makes it insane. So it's really hard to get rid of. And then for our last card, we play 1 Berthel. So the reason why I don't run this more than a 1, like it's good to have to help finish the game. If it goes that long and you find it, it has impact 1 and damage 3, and then when played, to get rid of all 0 on the front line. But the problem with this card is that it takes up a defensive slot and also an offensive slot. So once this card comes out on the field, you have to remove, let me rephrase that. Once this card comes out on the field, if you have 4 different characters on the field, when it comes out, your front line cap is now 3, so you automatically have to put one of those cards into your removal area, which is what sucks. And after that, if you want to play another card, if you still have 3 under your front line, you have to remove this card into your removal area. Then you could go back to your regular limit of 4. Other than that, it's a solid card to help finish the game. Combine it with your Rider, you have like 3 impact 1s, which is really good. So other tech options that I was talking about, you have the Rod Reese. This one is a draw trigger, and it also buffs something, 1k until the end of return. Yeah. So this one is really good, and it pairs with this Rod Reese, which is a really, really good card. But I decided to go pure Marleyan Warriors on this one because, you can play this out with a special, but for the most part, I want to be able to hit more of my searches, as well as I prefer an active trigger over a draw trigger. And another tech here is the Titan Force. Now, I'm not a fan of removing cards from my hand, because usually I'm really attached to my cards. I already have a game plan of what I want to use them for, so it's really hard for me to draw one and trash one. And this one gives you extra energy when you switch to Restin, and you place 1 from your hand into your sideline. And with the meta today, it's not the greatest card because Toto could just pop it, or yeah. So Toto's very popular right now. So I just try to stay away from sites. But it is a good card. It's a good card. So if you want to tech it in, go ahead. It's not a bad option as well. Probably this is an at the hand trigger, but if I was to replace it for something, maybe that 4-drop Reiner. But again, that Reiner has an active trigger, and I'm a fan of active triggers. But yeah. So that pretty much sums up the deck. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you have a better version of this deck that you've had popped off, feel free to put it in the comments. But other than that, that's all I got. Peace out.